You are listening to Boy Missing by Anna Jansson. Narrated by Sofia Engstrand. Chapter 1. For dust thou art, and unto life shalt thou return. Martin Ahl centred the lump of clay on the wheel and pressed down with his cupped hands before squeezing it upwards into a cone. He then forced it downwards again, pushing his thumbs into the soft core. The clay came to life, bending to his will, as he watched himself work in the flecked mirror above the workbench in front of him. Dusk had started to fall over the pottery studio in Harvik, and through the open window, the soft cooing of pigeons drifted down from the roof. Elvira studied his face in the mirror. She was taking cover behind his slightly hunched frame, trying to avoid getting clay on her white linen dress. He met her eye and winked before turning his attention back to his work. The minute vessel seemed to take shape so easily in his hands. She followed his movements closely, almost as though he were caressing her body. In her slightly tipsy state, following 3 glasses of plum wine from last year's harvest, she wasn't opposed to the idea. Not at all. If anything, she welcomed the idea. He moistened his hands in the dented metal bowl placed at one side of the wheel, and the thudding of his clog on the pedal intermingled with the squelching of the damp clay. The sound seemed to quiver through her, the heat and the softness too. Elvira felt a dull throb, a longing deep inside her, a craving for more. She felt a longing for his hands. If he had turned around right there and then, she wouldn't have hesitated for a second. She would have given herself over to him, allowing his embrace to soil her dress and his stubble to scratch at her throat. But he didn't. He only raised his head slightly. There was a hint of something dangerous in those grey-blue eyes of his, a repressed smirk that told her he saw her thoughts and accepted them as a compliment. He held her gaze until her smile broke through, and she watched as the wet clay flowed and swelled between his quick fingers. What felt like a river of lava sent a ripple of heat and lust through her body, and Elvira closed her eyes in an attempt to break free from his magic, turning to the window to cool her cheeks and slow down her breathing. She thought about what he had told her earlier that evening, while they'd shared some plum wine in the kitchen. He'd said he'd delivered his son himself, as though it was the most natural thing on earth. He had been right there, at the most vulnerable moment of a person's life, in a world where most other men stood helplessly in the face of all the blood and pain. His wife had wanted it that way. She had trusted him. She'd felt safe in his hands. Elvira brushed away all thoughts of Susanne. She was currently on the mainland, giving a series of lectures on communication to some business clients, and their son happened to be at a football camp. Her own husband was on his way back from Brussels. This meant they were all alone in the pottery studio. Such circumstances were beyond their control, and coincided with long-held desires. What was there to do on a dreary evening like this, when the wind was blowing a gale down by the harbour, the thunder rumbling in the distance, and the rain lashing down over the countryside? Stay indoors and bake bread, she had decided, kneading the dough and leaving it to rise. Petter had been shut up in his room on the computer. It was the natural state of affairs, according to Susanne Ahl. She claimed that young men slammed their bedroom door when they entered their teens, only to emerge 6 years later. They needed a safe space where they could think of...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?